Today we're going to have a look at this battery tester. I believe it's pronounced KAIWEETS, could be KAIWEETS. I'm not sure, but it's a pretty cool little battery tester, and the thing I like about it, it does what it's supposed to do. There's nothing more, nothing less. Bare bones, does the job, and I really enjoy that. A lot of these testers have little bells and whistles that you will never need. So this gives you the battery test, cranking test, loading test, and a charging test. Pretty neat little package, some basic buttons, and we'll show you how it performs on a car. And it comes in this nice little pack here. So you throw this in the trunk, in my case the frunk. Got your leads already attached, they do not detach. And we can only show you how it operates on the vehicle, so we will show you that. But essentially you've got just a very few buttons. You've got your language button, your back or escape button, and down here would be your history button or your data. And up and down and then enter. And we'll show you on the vehicle. So the first thing you do is you hit enter. It asks you what cold cranking amps, you put those in, asks you what kind of battery, put that in, so on and so forth. Our first is our battery test, which gives us the cold cranking amps. And then we have a cranking test, which tests our battery during cranking. Then we have a load test, which will test our alternator. If we turn on some headlights, AC, what have you, and we're running the vehicle, that'll test that. And then the charging test, again, it works with the alternator. If we're not charging, there's a problem, alternator or something else. So this will eliminate the battery. So I've seen a lot of people replace a battery when they didn't need to, and they still have the problem. So, oh, I put a new battery in it. Well, and battery prices are crazy. I mean, they're outrageous. My daughter had taken her Kia Sportage in for some service. I don't do the oil changes or anything like that because I don't want to deal with that. But anything major, I'll usually repair, especially if it's expensive. But when they did her oil change, I said, hey, you need a new battery. And they said it's $212 installed. And I tested it. She definitely needed a battery. I'm like, no, just bring it home. We'll go get a battery. That was a bad idea because I had to swap the battery, which is fine, doesn't take long, but it was $230. Batteries are outrageous. So you definitely do not want to purchase a battery if you don't need to. Now your battery could be dead as far as charge wise, but it still could be a good battery. So this will help eliminate that mistake. Leads are, I believe, I don't know if it tells me. It does come with a nice thick manual, and the manual is fairly thick. Now most of this is just multi-language, but it does have some good information in here. It tells you how to operate the unit, it tells you how to connect the unit to a battery, but then also what you'll notice in our test, it gives you some SOC, which is state of charge, SOH, state of health. So that'll give us percentages. And I believe the battery we're going to be looking at, I already tested it, I believe it was at 40 or 50%, I don't know, 77. But then it tells you some parameters right here. So replace the battery if the state of charge or state of health is less than 45%. And then normal should be over 60%, good, so on and so forth. It tells you to please charge the battery, retest after charging. It gives you a lot of good information in here that you may not otherwise know. It tells you how to do some of the tests, which we'll perform. And it tells you the results, cranking, normal, voltages. And then it tells you the charging test, tells you all the parameters. It's actually a really intuitive manual. It has questions and answers. Do I have to use batteries to run the battery tester? No, you don't. So that's just an easy question and answer. We already know this because we cannot turn it on. The battery actually supplies the voltage to the tester. How to judge whether the battery is suitable for the testing. It tells you that. Most 9 volt to 35 volt batteries. Can it be used to test deep cycle batteries? Yep, it sure can. Marine batteries, it can. Can it test alternators? It says no. It's not testing alternators, but if it's not charging, it kind of is an alternator test. It's not, they don't want to call it an alternator test because you can have other things wrong. So this is not testing the state of our alternator, but what it can test, what I mean by those saying you can check your alternator, is if it's your battery's good and it's not charging, you've got something else wrong other than the battery. I mean, you could have the battery that's not taking charge. That is possible. And then also, what does SOH, SOC, and RES means? They explain it. SOH, state of health. SOC, state of charge. RES, resistance value of the battery, which we will also have those displayed when we actually test our battery. Neat little bit of kit, as people overseas would say. I really like it. I might sound too excited about something this simple, but that's what I like about it. It's really simple. There's no frills. It just tests batteries. That's all it does. I do have another one that's bigger, but it's also a multimeter. It, I think, has a light built in. It might even be able to charge the battery. I don't need all that. I just want something that I can throw in the glove box and I can test a battery if I need to. Heck, I may be at Costco and somebody's car won't start. Well, just throw this on there real quick. Hey, you need a new battery. You never know. It's a nice peace of mind. It'll fit in the glove box. You don't have to use this little case. And again, it's really small. Now, if I did have one critique, it's actually one thing I like about it, but it's one thing that I don't like about it as well. I like the fact that the cables are not removable because there's nothing else to go wrong, nothing to screw up, nothing to reverse. But I would like the cables to be removable at the same time because that's a very compact size. And I believe this is 6 foot of cable, but the cable really doesn't need to be that long. We're not jumping a car, but there's a few nice things about having a long cable too. I'm picky here. You could actually read this while in the car. You could have this under the hood, and while you're in the car revving it up, you could look at those values. Very nice. Also, if you've got a battery that's down low, or maybe if you have a Volkswagen, an old Beetle where it's behind the back seat, or a BMW where it's in the trunk. The long cables are definitely nice for that. So I guess, I don't know what I'm saying. I like the cables. Whatever. Now KAIWEETS also sent me this voltage tester. Nice little voltage tester. So essentially you turn it on, there's a button here to turn it on, and you plug it into your outlet or what have you, hit the voltage button. The end of it looks like a screwdriver, which is really strange. I have to admit, I'm not sure why it looks that way, but it does make it nice for plugging it into an outlet to test the voltage. But the one thing that is really cool about this is the continuity test, which just says connect. We're going to show you how that works. It's really cool. And we'll show you testing it in an outlet as well. Okay, we are here at the vehicle. We are going to test this battery. This is on a 79 Porsche. This is the first screen you get. Once you plug it in, we'll hit enter. You can do 12 or 24 volt. We only have a 12 volt. I don't have a 24 volt line around. And then you've got your different tests. These are up and down buttons. You got battery test, cranking test, loading test, and charging test. To go back, you hit escape. That'll take you back to the previous menu. To change your language, you would hit this button here, and that just changes your language. We want to keep it on English. And then this button right here would be your voltages, your record. We're going to hit escape, go back to 12 volt. We're going to do the battery test. You've got your gel or your standard. This is a standard. We'll hit the down button, hit enter. We want cold cranking amps, 730. That's what this battery is. Now the cool thing about this is I've already put these parameters in when I tested it earlier, and it's keeping those parameters even though I unplugged it. Hit enter. Now it's testing. It's going to tell us if we have a good or bad battery. This is normal. So we've got 628 cold cranking amps at 12.4 volts. Then you got your SOC 62% and your SOH is 74%. Hit escape. We can do a cranking test. Hit enter. This gives us our cranking. Good. Dynamic voltage is 12.35. Our cranking voltage is 12.35. Standard is 10.2. Escape. We can do our load test. Now this is going to tell you need to turn on the vehicle and you need to place a 2,000 to 2,500 RPM load. So we're going to start the vehicle. Hopefully you can hear me over the car. I'm not going to go up to the 2,500 or 2,000. We're just going to hit enter. And we're good. Our dynamic voltage is 3.73, 4, 5, minimal and standard. Good. Escape. Now we can do charging. Now this is going to test your alternator. Is your alternator actually charging the vehicle? The battery. Same thing. And yes, now if we would crank up the RPM, we would actually go up higher than max voltage because our alternator is going to give us more power. All in all, I'm happy with this. It's really easy to use, which is key. You want something that's easy to use. This is not overdone. It does exactly what it needs to do. Unfortunately, I don't have a 24 volt or a bad battery to test, but if I did have a bad battery, this would let us know. Our cold cranking amps would be down, and our dynamic, everything else would be off. Our battery test would definitely fail, and then that would let us know if we need a new battery. It's a real quick and easy way to just rule out your battery. And then, okay, we are going to go test this in an outlet. So we'll hold the voltage button. And this tells us that we're at 130 volts. Pretty neat. Let's do the connect test next. That's the coolest feature about this. So we just did the voltage test. Pretty basic, does what it needs to do, just like the battery tester. But the connect, which is continuity, is really, really cool. So if you've got a wire, so we've got this stripped at either end, and I've ran into this before with the multimeter where you pretty much need to connect each end of the wire. Well, we are going to hold, we're going to wrap this around actually, one end of the tester, and we hit connect. It says PC. Now the other open wire, I'm going to touch it with my hand, so I can test continuity. Oops, with my hand. That just slipped off there, which is really, really cool. So instead of having two probes where I have to have one at one end and one at the other, this will actually work and test it with just my hand. So a lot of times if we're working on a piece of dental equipment, you have one end of the wire here, one end of the wire maybe 6 feet away, and your probes won't reach that far from your multimeter, and you cannot get the wires closer. So you hold one end here, hold the other end there, and you could test to make sure that cable is good. Test continuity, that's all it does. The battery tester is model number KVB01. I know we've been talking about these are no frills, they just do what they're supposed to do. This does have one little hidden feature, and it's a light. So you'll see there's a light bulb. Hit the button again while it's on, and there is a little light. That is a nice little feature. It's not over the top, it's really small. And the nice thing about that is if you're in a dark area, if you're testing a circuit or what have you, you can see where to plug it in that outlet, which might be a real life situation. If you've lost power, you want to see if an outlet works, boom, you might need a light to do that. So that is the only little frill that they have. And as you can see, the battery in the Porsche is all good. I'm getting ready to winterize the Porsche actually, probably the middle to end of November. Right now we're at the end of October. And what I mean by winterize, I'm gonna give it a good clean, dry it off, put a car cover on it, also put my battery tender on it. But let me see, March, April of next year, I will test the battery once again. And maybe we'll have a follow-up just to see what kind of condition the battery's in after being on a tender for 3 or 4 months. If you are interested in either one of these, I will post Amazon affiliate links in the description below the video.